All right, class, welcome to a new week on experimenting with technologies. And this experimenting with technologies focus is a little bit about just having students think about us being or think like a scientist or do activities like a scientist does. And so you're going to have some readings here, chapter 3, and that's the chapter, of course, on experimenting with technologies. And then there's a presentation that I'll provide that's about making students use causal reasoning. You do experiments and think like an experimenter or a scientist with technology. This week we also have a technology exploration, and so this is another week where you'll have an opportunity to go to the tools for communication and collaboration and tools for student experimentation. Maybe choose one of those. And I think this week there's not a lot of experimentation tools, and there may not be as many communication and collaboration tools that are new. And so if you want to, you could also choose something that you have heard about, maybe in your experience as a teacher or as a student teacher. You know, what a technology tool that you might want to experiment that's not on the list. So if you have some, or not necessarily experiment with, but create with or do something with, it's not on this list or on the wiki, that's okay too. So take some time in that tool that you have chosen, and then you'll post about it on the discussion board. And so it says this week you should have explored and played with experimentation and communication technology resources on the class wiki. Post something that you have created and share a little about it, and then share your thoughts about two other students' posts as well. So that's the discussion this week. It's my creation discussion going on this week. And then you have the constructive makerspace assignment due, just the part where you create an information sheet about a constructive makerspace item. So again, you'll choose an item that could be a part of a makerspace for students, whether that's like my example dash robot, or whether it's paper airplanes, or whether it's straws and connectors. Some people have those in their classroom, whether it's Lego League or Legos. You'll choose one item, and for this assignment, remember that you are required to add a picture of that, name and picture of the makerspace item, subtitle that shares what the item can do, 2 to 3 suggestions of what you can do with the item, including very basic steps for each of the 2 to 3 items. So that means you're going to have 2 to 3 things that you can do with this item and include steps for each of those 2 to 3 things. And then 3 to 5 extra challenges that K-12 students could do with the item that go beyond the 2 to 3 suggestions above. So remember, Makerspace is supposed to support constructive learning. That means students articulating and reflecting on what's going on, and then articulating their understanding of it. And often this goes along with being puzzled by it or having a kind of questioning mindset. And so that's something that you want to support with those 3 to 5 extra challenges. Those are things that you want to make sure that students are having to do some constructive learning with. With makerspaces, oftentimes students will just play with the item as the way that it was intended to be played with. I guess an analogy to that would be a Lego set, where you buy the Lego set and there's a specific way that you should put each piece together to make the Lego set work. And if students never go beyond that, then they probably aren't doing much constructive learning. But if you bought a Lego set and you put it together the way that was intended, but after that you make some variations to that, or maybe make your entire own new thing with that set, or combine 2 sets together if you have 2 sets, that's where you're getting more into the constructive thinking, where students are actually problem solving and so forth. And isn't it sad that these days the Lego sets are built in a specific way, and a lot of times kids will only ever build those Legos in that one way. They'll never think about the creative ways that they could adapt that set to be something else. So for instance, if it was a space shuttle set, they build the space shuttle, but they could also build maybe a different kind of aircraft with those same pieces. And that aircraft was not necessarily designed the way that Lego would design it, or tells you to use their toys. In the past, it was a lot of Lego sets just came with no instructions whatsoever, just a bunch of pieces and build what you want. So it's interesting to think about how the makerspace movement relates to that, because it allows students or helps students to think creatively and build their own type of things that were not necessarily designed by someone else or intended by someone else. So anyway, here's the information sheet part. That's the only part of this assignment that is due this week, just the information sheet. The Organize a Makerspace Experience for students is due at the end of class. And that's the one where you actually organize a makerspace experience. You give me the date, time, location, grade level, and so forth, and then share what evidence of constructive learning you saw during the makerspace experience and challenges and ideas for changing it for next time. So that's not due, that part's not due until the end of the semester, but this instructional or constructive makerspace assignment, the information sheet part, is due by the end of this week. Okay, well, I think that's about it for the activities for this week, so I'll let you get started, and good luck getting going on those.